on the cement wall.
I've never been there. members present, Jack, Steve, myself, Ted. Board members absent, Nicole and Nick, and possibly Nick might join us in a little bit. Administration present, Vicky, Marquez, Patty, Christy, Kate, and Jennifer was here. She snuck out. Yeah. We have no visitors here tonight. We do have some guests. Can we please have the Scouts join us for the Pledge of Allegiance? The highlight of the meeting.
Yes. You guys want to tell us your name and your grade?
Yeah.
Oh.
That's
Oh
okay.
Oh
it's just us. You want to start?
My name is TJ and I'm in second grade. I don't go to the school, but I go to Riverview.
We're glad you're here with us tonight.
My name is Nick. I'm in third grade. My name is Quinn and I'm in first grade.
All right.
That's good.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Thank you.
Absolutely. You want to start off, Scouts?
I
Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible,
with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Guys.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks so much, as always.
I've got a little stage fright.
A little bit.
Yeah.
All right.
It's pretty intimidating.
It must have been Vicky.
I hear.
Can I please have a motion to approve the agenda?
I move to approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
So moved. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Motion carries. Just a quick little president's report. We have not met since the beginning of the school year started, so
Yeah.
it's like I do feel like it's been forever. So it was a great beginning of the school year. Vicky, thank you for coordinating some outstanding learning for the teachers on day one. And then Andrew was able to work with the parents in the evening, and I know that was well received for a small group of folks that were there, and we're going to talk a little bit about that tonight. So I look forward to that conversation. Last night was the first ever curriculum night, so those of you that helped coordinate that and execute, I know it was a fantastic evening, great turnout. Just a quick construction update. There are a little bit of a delay. They found some issues with some foundations in the 1954 building that weren't aligned to what the blueprints said they were. So they weren't constructed as the blueprints indicated they would be. So it sounds like it might eat up about 10%-ish of our contingency.
Yep. Hopefully less.
Hopefully less. We know Marquez is always conservative in his estimates, and Myron is working through that right now. And it looks like that might push things back. So Myron's working on figuring that out and what to do to solve it, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep. So I think originally we were supposed to finish that area in June of 2024, and now it's looking like July sometime. So obviously still before the school year starts, but
Yep. So that's that. So just wanted to update everybody on that. Steve, any correspondence?
No correspondence whatsoever, Mr. President.
All right. Any CISA updates?
On CISA 2, as you know, I'm on the Board of Control. At our meeting last Tuesday, a really nice presentation was made by Scott Carr, C-A-R-R, and he is the CISA 2 Director of Career and College Readiness. And he mentioned at the meeting that he is working with not only a district to our west, Genoa City, but also with Salem and some ideas. And I know, Dr. King, you had a chance to meet with him and part of that presentation.
It was an excellent presentation, and right now, Patty and I are going to be talking about that tomorrow as one of our conversations to see what it would look like for us.
Good. Yeah. And we're very happy to have him in CISA 2. And CISA 2, I mean, we hear about there are 9 CISAs in the state. CISA 2 just does incredible work, incredible staff, and they're all over the place. And anyways, so thank you for working with them and for our involvement with CISA 2. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. We will turn it over to Marquez to take us through Treasurer's report for this month. Nicole's not able to be here tonight. Nicole's actually participating in one of the WASB events that I think we all got an email about something with our kind of like regional rep in Burlington.
Right, who's the president of WASB
Yes,
also.
so Nicole's there.
All right, I'll present the treasurer's report for August 2023. As normal, I'll read the ending balance for each account. Our CSB operating account ends with a balance of $857,786.56. Our CSB Flex account ends with a balance of $46,360.60. Petty cash with a balance of $300. LGIP with a balance of $1,804,826.75, and WISC with a balance of $22,021,987.18 for a grand cash and investment asset total of $731,261.09. And then last month we kind of started breaking out what's Fund 10 and 27. Those are our operating accounts. And so our operating total for cash and investments comes out to $2,041,516.70. So the reason why we broke that out again, just as a reminder, is most of that money is tied up with the referendum project, and you'll start to see those invoices come in now as a lot of the, like 40% of the work's been done over the first summer. So you'll see that 24 million number drain down. And so we really wanted to break out that Fund 10 and 27 because that's really our true operating asset total. All right. And then I'll present the payment of accounts payable bills for August 1st through August 31st. This includes paper checks numbered 72023 through 72104, wire transfer checks numbered 2023-00053 through 2023-00181, and ACH checks numbered 2324-00007 through 2324-00011 for a total of $716,349.07. Any questions? No.
I have none.
Moving on to the revenue and expense reports. Through this point in the school year, we've received very little of the revenue. We did receive our final property tax payment in August, but that's booked to last year's revenue. So, very, very little revenue through this point in the year. One thing I do want to point out is that through this point, compared to through August of this year, compared to August of last year, we've more than doubled the amount of interest we're getting. So, interest rates are hovering at between 5 and 6%, and we've got some of those invested in bonds for a year. Some of the referendum ones we strategically invested ahead of time to maximize those returns. So I would expect interest. I'm going to have to update that number when we do the budget for next month, but we will be budgeting a lot more in interest earnings for this year compared to last year. So that's one of the benefits of interest. The downside, the reverse, is if we had to short-term borrow, we're paying more to borrow. So not much to talk about on the revenue side. We do have fees rolling in now at the start of school. And then if we go to the next slide for expenses, similar story. We don't have very much expenses through the first 2 months of the year, though we do have obviously our year-round staff. So custodial maintenance staff, some of our 12-month employees, salary and benefits for those staff. We have bought some, tech and software services. A lot of that's coming out of the ESSER grant for this final year. And then we did pay our insurance for the year as well. So through the year, we're very on pace with how we were last year. So any questions on revenues or expenses?
Are there any software programs we adopted last year that we didn't renew this year? Or was last year, I know some we did like a 3-year, I don't remember if there were.
There was at least one.
Yeah, certainly EduClimber was one of them.
Yes, okay.
And we also reduced licenses for Read Naturally looking at Patty because she remembers a lot. I believe we reduced licenses and a couple of others, but right now we maintained, well, partly because we had, we only did 1 year of paper.
Right.
So we re-upped paper this year only because we didn't give it, no, we had to give
fair
our,
shake,
yeah.
right,
So and if at the end of the year we find out that's not a resource that's good for families or the staff aren't using it as well, we'll have that evaluated, but.
Awesome. Thanks. Any other questions, sir?
No.
All right, and then we have the minutes of the special school board meeting dated August 22nd, 2023, as well as the minutes of the regular school board meeting, August 22nd, 2023. Can I have a motion to approve the consent agenda items A through E as presented?
I move to approve the consent agenda items A through E as presented.
So moved. It's you, Jack. All those in favor? Aye. Those opposed? Motion carries. We have no public comments this evening. Vicki, I will turn it over to you.
All right, so this past month, we had a very short committee meeting to update the language regarding the committee policy. As a quick side note, we met with Neola today. The way they're starting to do policies, it's going to be really nice when we do those, when this committee updates, is because they're rescinding a number of policies where they were redundant. So for support staff, or regular teaching staff, it's all gonna be in one now. So we don't have to, do 3 different approvals. So that'll be nice. But anyway, going back to policy 0155, we are recommending that the board approve to allow us to have board membership can go up to up 3 or as many need to be there, allowing for some board action to be taken when necessary. For example, when policy has a first and second read. And any decisions will be made and presented to the board.
Any questions on that?
That was us.
No, I know. But it was a conversation that we had at the last board meeting when we were reconsidering committee assignments and committee roles and our responsibilities. And I think when we really dug into it, it was like, wait, we can't actually do the work that we want to do with the structure that we created. Yes, right.
Makes it easier.
Yes.
I wonder if you're catching what I'm catching, because I think we were looking to say is not have a number at all. And I think in my minutes, I might have, I switched our minutes. So how do we update this? Because this isn't
Well, it would just be
actually,
based on the motion that we're gonna.
Okay, so-
We're gonna move to approve it.
that we're not going to
We're not gonna
cap
limit the
membership.
number of
Yes,
board
not
members
cap.
per committee.
Right, and one of the things we did discuss is is there a minimum number that there must be on a committee? 2.
2.
So I'm wondering, should that be in the?
Yeah, this is a first reading, so
I'm just saying, a minimum of 2
with no cap.
with no cap,
Right.
right? Okay.
And that there could be action taken.
Yep. So when you say it, we need to move to approve the update to policy 0155, as we just said, like,
With a minimum of 2 board members and no cap, and board action may be taken at committee meetings.
I move to, are we ready?
Yep.
Oh, baby.
I move to approve the updates to policy 1055 regarding membership
0155.
as presented with, it can go up to 3,
No limit.
I'm sorry, no maximum and minimum of 2 members.
And it was 0155.
Yeah.
What did I say?
You interposed.
105.
0155, sorry, thank you.
Diane, we're good?
that's typically why, that's kind of why I love to say as discussed. Because then she gets to find it in the minutes.
So moved?
I second that extremely concise move.
Thank you. All those in favor? Aye. Those
Aye.
opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. So we'll do a second reading of that at
correct.
the October meeting, and then those committee assignments will be presented in the November meeting.
And should that approve in October, then I'll bring the new policy updates to the next policy group, because it'll allow us to have a more efficient meeting.
Streamlined, yep.
Yeah. Okay, so I wanted to talk a little bit about some of the updates that we're tying into the strategic plan work that we're doing. And Ted alluded to it when he talked about having a guest speaker that we had come in. What I'm going to talk about when we look at our student expectations, it really is tied to two goals, but primarily the first one, it's the goal 2, which is cultivating a safe, secure, and inclusive learning environment that is responsive to the evolving needs of all stakeholders. And under the strategy in that goal, it's establishing and maintaining a universal system to teach expectations. And we have 3 core areas or values that we are working with our students under: safety, responsibility, and respect. And so everything that we're teaching when it comes to how we behave and act as Falcons would fall under these 3 areas. And so what I wanted to talk about is a little bit what we're doing on how to give our students an opportunity to demonstrate responsibility in a very safe, psychologically safe way, that they get an opportunity to experience. I don't want to use the word failure if it's misinterpreted, but they get to experience the positive consequences that come along with when we don't follow through with choices that we've made or commitments that we've made. Many people have seen Maslow's hierarchy needs. I like this adaptation from Alan Chapman because it looks at how, when we're looking at building psychological safety, you can see that the basic shelter, warmth, food is at the foundation. And I like this because it's going to tie in really nicely with our presentation we have in a little bit, because that's what the work we're hoping to provide our students with. But safety also requires limits. It requires order and security and consistency. So one of the parents, when they found out that we're looking at responsibility, increasing the opportunities for students to gain responsibility, they said, oh, you're making a change based upon a book that you read. And what I want the board to know is, starting in 2015, I'm a part of a research association, the Midwestern, it's the MERA. And so I do quite a bit of work looking at trends with students and outside of the education field, but specifically students, because I was noticing in 2000, as early as 2015, probably earlier, but students are changing. I would say even the teachers I was hiring, maybe the people that you've worked with, they're different than they were in the past. Their responsibility looks a little different. Their response to authority looked different. And so I'm a part of this group, and we're just doing some research on it. One researcher, he wrote about, it's called The Decline of Play. This book is also referenced in Andrew McPeak, and I'll talk about that in a second. But he says that, and this was 2011, outside of school, children spend more time than ever in settings in which they are directed, protected, catered to, ranked, judged, and rewarded by adults. And in all of these settings, adults are in control and not the children. And so what happens when we do that, when we start to protect and insulate our students from natural consequences? For example, one of the things that we're doing starting in October, we're not going to penalize kids, but we have options for food here. If you forget your lunch, or if you forget your band instrument, you forget something, we're going to allow you to go that day. We have luncheon options here. We've got gluten-free options. We've got vegan. We have a lot of options for our students. It's not going to be, we're not going to penalize students for the ones that are the one time only. We're not looking to scare kids. But we are looking, if you forgot something, I made it without having to call home to go have my parents rescue me right away. But kids don't, right now we've sent a number of kids. I talked to the superintendent at the high school. We're sending students who are not prepared from the responsibility side. And I'll give you some data in just a minute. But I want us to know that I'm providing safe opportunities for our students. If they forget their food or they forgot a snack, all of our teachers have snacks. Again, if there's a health need, our nurse's office is going to make sure that we're taking care of our students with IEPs. We're taking students with those special need food habits. But we are going to let students experience it might not be my favorite bag of Cheetos today. I might just have to have something in the lunch line, because they get the food from us. We'll feed them. Because I want them to experience what it's like when they forget. And that's natural. That's a natural part of life. Our teachers, they understand that they get to provide opportunities have that conversation of, you forgot this, bring it in tomorrow. Here's how it impacted your team when you didn't have it. Versus some kids getting to run to the office and have it. sent back, it creates inequity, first of all, for some of our kids who have two families and they can't rush home to go get their materials. But it sends a message to the students that I'm incapable of remembering this on my own. I'm going to have my parent bail me out. And so we're allowing them to understand that you'll get to do it tomorrow. For any of our performance, I worked with our band and any of the people that we require, like instruments or science experiments. All of the teachers and those people understand that like if they didn't have their instrument that day, they're going to give them opportunities to go through the motions and know that the next day, this is why it matters when you forget your instrument, this is what happens. Or this is how, when you don't participate initially by bringing in your resources, this is how it impacts the rest of us. But we can still practice grace and maintain high expectations. So this is, it didn't just come because of Andrew McPeak, but I have seen some of the work that Andrew McPeak did, and I'm going to show you a clip from him, but he walks through what it can do as us as leaders. He gives us the opportunity for teachers and for parents or caregivers that first, it breaks those years into life, what it should look like. That first few years of life, it really is, they're the pupil. They need really concrete opportunities to have those positive and negative reinforcements of this will happen if I do this. And then we're in 7 to 12. If we're refusing to allow, like the training space, if we're not giving them opportunities to see the natural response for understanding that I need to be responsible, when I'm not being responsible, this is what happens. Once we take that away, we're depriving them of an opportunity to grow in an established routine. And then you can see 13 through 18, we have a few kids in that 13, 14 space, but it's about that coaching. But what happens is we're finding statistically, our kids aren't moving through this pattern the same way anymore because we've been holding them back by protecting them from experiencing natural consequences. And so we have many college students, so I was asked to do like an adjunct professor piece. A lot of students are coming, they're not prepared to be in class because they've never had the experience of being held responsible at this point. I'm not saying previous generations, but I'm saying more and more we're seeing that schools and parents, we rescue too quickly. So we had Andrew McPeak. He came and he spoke with our staff. He spoke with a small group of our families. It's going to be shared with our community, that our families have access to it for a certain period of time. There's other districts now that want him to come as they're now seeing the benefit of having had him here. So they know they were given the chance to come hear him speak. Now they wish they had, so he's going to come back and present. And we're all going to go financially in together, so that will be nice, but they're into it. Really quickly, I want to explain, so Salem, we're currently already meeting or exceeding standards and expectations when it comes to academics. I'm not concerned necessarily, I am 100%, we're going to continue focusing on our goal 1 of the strategic plan to make sure that we're equipping all learners to grow in all areas. This data, you'll see we have 2023. October, they release it to private information. We're going to have in the board meeting, I'll go much more, we'll have Craig, our data specialist, go into depth about our achievement data and our growth data for the past handful of years. But if we go back to when students aren't taught responsibility, what we're finding is we're telling our students, but what we're finding our students, and this is numerous reports are finding that they're prepared academically. They're one of the smartest generations that we have, but they're not prepared to do day-to-day life because they aren't given the opportunity to deal with real life problems. So I was thinking a few people would be here. I want them to see, I care very much about our achievement data. It's important. We're doing great things. We're going to continue to improve, but we need to address the whole child, and responsibility is a big piece of that. So our theme this year is if you've seen our shirts, it's called Love is Limits. Yes, love is limitless. and it's unconditional, but it also establishes and maintains order. Love creates boundaries, and it sets expectations for students. And that's what we're wanting to make sure is clear for our staff and for our students, is that I'm going to love a student enough to allow them to experience the natural consequence of you're going to have to eat some of the food in our lunchroom. It may not be your first choice, but we have food for you here because you forgot your lunch. You forgot your homework at home, so today you won't have it prepared, but you can still turn it in tomorrow. The natural consequences, you'll learn what it feels like to be unprepared for one day, so in the future, you'll know that when you're supposed to submit a report to your boss, it needs to be sent that first day. All right, so it's 3.5 minutes long, so I'm gonna let you see a little bit of what Andrew was sharing. And hopefully if people on the World Wide Web want to participate in him coming back, he's gonna be coming back to this area.
Finally, support. We offer a lot of support to our kids, whether we're teachers or parents or grandparents. If our kid forgets their backpack, lunch money, permission slip, they're gonna text us or call us, and we're gonna step in and save the day. This is, by far, the most resourced generation in history. And resourcing our kids, making sure they have what they need to succeed, sounds really good for a while, until they get older and older and older, and we continue to meet those needs. Where actually, what happens is we start to do them a disservice. When millennials were growing up, they called their parents helicopter parents. Do you remember that term? Mom seems to be always around. I met a few Apache helicopter parents in my day as well. You probably have too. But do you know what they call parents today? Have you heard the term? Anybody? They often call them snowplow parents or lawnmower parents. Have you heard either of those terms? So you can tweet about it later. You'll find lots of people talking about this. But the idea is I'm mowing the way or I'm plowing the way in front of my kid, right? So a snowplow mom would be somebody who comes in and rescues and saves the day. I'm not getting my kid ready to face the path. I'm preparing the path for the child. I'm not getting them ready to face hard things. I'm making sure they don't have to face any hard things. I'm resourcing, because the worst case scenario for a parent today, we often think, is that my kid fails. Because if they fail, then that means I failed. But that's not actually true, is it? Resourcing is really great to a point. But once we over-resource or we resource too long, we get scenarios like the college professor I met who tells me that he is regularly having to take phone calls from parents who want to negotiate grades or talk about things in the classroom. Or the HR professionals I'm talking to who are going to hire these kids coming out of high school and college. I'll tell you one story. This is a true story of an HR professional who said this happened to her multiple times. She went to hire a young person right out of college, great grades, handled themselves brilliantly, and she goes to make an offer to this young person, and they say, "Thank you so much for this offer, but there is one final step. My mom wants to interview you to see if this is a good workplace for me." Multiple times this has happened. I know that would never be you, right? But the only way that we arrive at a place where kids are still looking to moms and dads to rescue them well into adulthood is if we stopped, kept helping them long after we actually should. Why? Because the more resourced you are, the less resourceful you become. If we actually want them to be able to do hard things, to build resilience and grit and all of that stuff, you only get those things through practice. And so if every situation I face, whenever I face a hard thing, if some adult steps in, whether it's a parent or a teacher or a coach or whomever, some adult steps in and says, "Let me help you with that," then they never actually learn to get through that hard time themselves. I'm meeting so many kids who are missing that skill of resilience and grit, and so much of the time it's because nobody actually let them try and fail. That's why I love this theme of love is limits, because I think if we truly love our kids, we will realize the truth of parenting, which is you are not parenting kids, you are parenting future adults. And when you shape your mindset in that way, you realize that leadership of them is not just helping them have a great kiddom, right? Have a great growing up life. It's also preparing them for the realities they're going to face later on. So if we can give them microcosms of what that's going to look like while they're still under our care, we actually give them the best shot to succeed and even thrive on the other side.
one last thing, and then I'll be done. So my hope is that if you've heard some grumblings about parents being a little shocked that we're asking them to allow us to let their kids experience a little bit of failure in an environment that's completely safe. We are not going to shame kids. We are not going to allow them to flail, go hungry. Now, if they choose not to eat anything here, I don't think missing lunch is going to be so bad. There were a number of times my parents I didn't like what we were serving for dinner, and they didn't make me something else, so I had to eat it for breakfast because I was hungry enough. Like, I don't think there's so much to worry about. Like, I do believe we're creating spaces where kids will be okay here if we allow them to experience what happens when we're not responsible. Our mission statement is to cultivate lifelong learners to achieve their full potential, and I truly believe it's going to require us to allowing our kids to really learn how to be responsible in a safe environment where we respect their dignity and allows them to explore and allows for personal growth. So that's all I wanted to say about that. Any questions?
I like that.
I mean, it's almost like refocusing to the student and doing less about the parent's responsibility. I mean, okay, it's fine for you to come and help. We're happy you're supportive, but you're not failing. Yeah. You made a mistake. Mistakes happen. That's part of growing up. That's part of life. He's not going to be permanently disfigured or, ostracized, but they'll learn. My pa used to say the best way to learn how to stove is to touch it. You don't do it again. These little learning things are important. And I like that this is more student-centered, that it's not really saying anything about the parents saying that you're not doing this right. What we're saying is, this is what we can provide. We can give you this. And this is what we hope the student really needs.
And I'm sorry, and isn't there also research that shows that when all this is in place and works its way through where the process is in place, that it does have an impact, positive impact on student achievement, and not just grades or test scores, but achievement, right?
Yeah, 100%.
I think the challenge is most of us as parents probably realize, like, when we've let the pendulum swing too far, right? Like, whoa, now my kid will never survive in life, like, without me. So I think, like, we get there at different places and we learn different things. That there was a message sent out, and for sure there was a little, and I really would challenge people to just assume positive intentions, right? Like, these decisions aren't made in isolation. They're not made on a whim. It's not made on just a book that somebody reads, right? There's thought that goes into these types of decisions that align to our mission, that align to our strategic plan to support kids. So I just really, and I know we don't have a lot of parents here, I really wish people would just assume that positive intention and then question, like, hey, this is for the best. How did you come up with this? Like, those types of conversations, instead of they're trying to, bring in more lunch money. Those type, like those assumptions that we hear thrown out there.
Yeah, great.
Right?
Yes, that was the big message. Like,
Right.
And I like that you brought that up, because this isn't a ploy to say go to our lunch. We reduced some of our fees. Like, it wasn't that. I truly believe we have a responsibility to our kids to teach them responsibility.
Yeah, I mean, I think we spent a whole year developing a strategic plan with community input, with student input, with faculty and staff and the board. Like, there was a process to get to that point. Yeah. This is an action step to help us get closer to that vision, I think, is really what it comes down to.
Okay, we have a brief report. Christy.
This is incredibly brief, but every year we have to review our seclusion restraint data. So from last year to this year, you can see the comparisons. The year before to last school year, you can see the comparisons. We only had 3 incidents of physical restraint. You can see the data there. We submit it to the state each year.
What do you attribute that that huge reduction? Like, are there certain factors, certain things that speak louder to you than others of like strategies that have been implemented to help? I mean, 42 to 3 is, I would call it, I'm not a math major, but I think it's significant.
I do have to say too, it's tricky to kind of talk about specifically, but not all of those were within our building.
Of course.
So
Okay.
this accounts for any students from our district that may be.
Whole place.
Yep.
Yep.
Mhm. So it accounts for all areas that we would contract with for schools.
Okay.
And are some of these numbers repeaters? I mean, could you have one student that has 7, 8, 9 incidents?
Correct.
Yeah, they're all totaled in that.
Where you move out,
Yes.
the number
Yep.
drops.
Mhm.
No, Jack, I think it's our great staff. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, I am excited to have Sleep in Heavenly Peace. They're going to do a presentation. Nicole Haas and Chris did a visit to Sleep in Heavenly Peace, and this is something we're going to have our students partnering with. Again, tied to our strategic plan. And I'll speak to that when they're finished because I want an overview of all the work that we're going to do. But before I get into that, would you come on up, introduce yourselves, and you just point at me and I'll click.
I've seen that. Excellent talent.
Thank you.
I represent Sleep in Heavenly Peace. We are the Racine Kenosha chapter. I have with me Brian, who is my co-president, and my name is Mike Prudhomme. We founded this chapter in 2018. In June of 2018 is when we first started building. We are one of, at that point in time, we were the 29th chapter in the country. There were 13 chapters in the beginning of 2018 when it went national due to, you know Mike Rowe, who's the Dirty Jobs guy? He had an internet show called Returning the Favor, and they would highlight an organization and give them something. And in February of 2018, they highlighted Sleep in Heavenly Peace. They expected to get a whole lot of bed requests in. What they got was a whole lot of people who said, I want to do this. Today, there's over 350 chapters in the US. There are 3 in Canada, there's one in the Bahamas, one in Bermuda, and Wisconsin has the second highest number of chapters of any state right now. We represent, and I apologize because you're west of Highway 45, but we represent Racine and Kenosha from the lake to Highway 45 and from the Milwaukee County line to the Illinois state line. That's basically the area that we service. Go ahead.
Yep.
So our mission statement is that we believe that no kid sleeps on the floor in our town. But we want to make our town every town, so we are trying to expand continuously. I'm looking, if you guys got any contacts in Milwaukee, we do not have a Milwaukee chapter. And if you can imagine, Milwaukee's probably got the biggest bedlessness crisis. By the way, bedlessness is not a real word, although we have coined it, and we figure it's going to get in the dictionary very soon. But it takes a community. Not anybody, no one person can solve this problem. No one organization can. So what we do is we provide opportunities for people to work with us to build the beds. We provide opportunities for people to donate cash to build the beds, donate bedding to supply the beds. When we give a bed out, it is complete, a bed frame, a mattress, bedding, pillow, the whole bit. I had a kid at 10 o'clock on Saturday morning, a brother or sister, who just got a bed from us, went into the other room, put on pajamas, came in, crawled into bed, pulled the covers off. I had to break it to mom that that isn't going to be normal for a long time, but they wanted that bed so much. They had been on air mattresses before that. So it started in 2002, 12. Luke Mickelson, who is the man pictured there, wanted to do something with his family for his community. And so they decided to build a bunk bed. They built the bed, they didn't know what to do with it. So they looked and they found somebody who needed it, and they gave it away. He had lots of friends who said, I want to do, the next time you do that, invite me. And so that's how it all began, but it began in his garage. And he'll tell you the story that his wife was the tool person in their house. So his toolbox was a little pink toolbox that he had for building these beds with. It was a Christmas delivery, and Christmas, for me, Christmas is the best time to deliver beds. It's the gift. I come from a Christian background, and so bedlessness at Christmas is inherent in my faith. But to bring a kid a gift of a bed right before Christmas, so on Christmas morning they can wake up from a nice warm bed to whatever their Christmas day looks like, is awesome. But they delivered this bed. That's the first person who ever got a bed from Sleep in Heavenly Peace. And it was the start of something that turned out bigger than anyone could imagine. Luke never had any idea that this was going to happen. So the need. There is a lot of need out there. As you can see, how many beds we've delivered has gone up, except for 2020. I don't know, was something? Matter of fact, when the pandemic started and when we got into lockdown, it was right before Easter, and we had an Easter delivery scheduled. And I said, can we just deliver these beds? I mean, we had called these people, we had told them we were coming, and they wouldn't let us do it. So, but we have grown every year since. So here's our chapter growth. As you see in 2022, we had 326 chapters. We actually just started a new chapter in Walworth County that we feel like proud parents because they started volunteering with us and decided to open up their own chapter. So there's ever more chapters coming.
Oh, sorry, that's, I converted it to Google Slides, that's why the number, demand
That's
looks like that. Okay.
Google Slides. I'm an IT guy.
Yeah.
It's in 1998, 3% of the population of kids sleep on the floor. They don't have a proper bed. And think of it, I mean, Maslow's hierarchy of needs. You have a house, that's more important than a bed. Food is more important. There's a lot of things that are more important than a bed. Problem is, the bed is really important, and people don't think about that.
Yeah.
Just think how much better students would do if they came to school after having a good night's sleep. I think that that's really a critical thing. So our chapter, our first build was June 9th, 2018. Since that time, we've delivered 1,615 beds. We currently have in open requests 103 families waiting for 213 beds. And on July 25th, because of the number of beds we had requested, we closed that. As of the time I sent this chart out, or these numbers out, we had requests for another 92 families, for another 209 beds. So that's over 400 beds that are waiting. And believe me, since I sent this slideshow out, it hasn't stopped coming in. What has happened is we've had two peaks so far. One of them was a Spanish-speaking influencer in New Mexico, produced a video about us providing beds, and across the nation, that request just jumped. And then earlier this month, it happened, or last month, it happened again. Another influencer mentioned that we had beds for free, and so the request just came in out of the woodwork. So that's what we're facing right now, is in Racine and Kenosha, east of Highway 45, 422 kids that want beds that don't have them. I just got one in today. See, it's a gentleman, his kids are teenagers. He just got surprise custody of his kids. I don't know what happened. They came from Green Bay, and they came with nothing. You know, how do you tell a man like that, well, yeah, we'll put you on our list, and in 6 to 8, 9 months, we might get to you. It's hard, it's a hard thing to say, it really is. I would love to not have to do this anymore. I would love to not have to worry about a kid not being on the floor. And I know that that's not gonna ever happen. So, when you donate to us, the proceeds go to building, furnishing, and delivering the bunk beds. We have an A+ rating with GuideStar. We are a platinum charity. More than 90% of the money that we get in goes directly to buying the things we need to make the beds, to produce the beds. We buy our mattresses. We have great companies that work with us. I can get a mattress, a single mattress, for $78. That's shipped to me in Kenosha, which is a really good price if you ever go out and try to price it to a mattress. We have donated tons and tons of bedding. It's one of the best things for kids and schools and churches to have bedding drives. It's easy to transport, they're not overly expensive, and we use wood. We use a lot of wood. When I started this in 2018, it cost us about $100 to put a bed together. It's now about $250, and most of that came with wood during the pandemic. It started to drop back down, but guess what? It's never going to get as low as it was. We use standard wood. We actually have a partnership with Lowe's. Lowe's is our biggest sponsor. The last 2 years, they've given us $2 million a year. Not us, but nationwide. They give us $2 million a year, I'd buy beds and just give them away. So we have a deal going on with Lowe's where we get a very good discount from them. Every year we get a couple of $1,000 in grant money from Lowe's directly to us to help us buy the materials. And we do this in builds. We call them a build day. Our next build day is October 10th. October 14th. And that's the one your kids are coming to. What we do there is we take the bed, the raw lumber, we cut it. No, your kids will not have to use the saw. We've got adults for that. Sand it, drill it. We assemble the headboards and the footboards, which by the way are the same thing. We assemble side rails, and we take slats and we staple cords on them, and that is a bed kit. We'll also count out, each bed takes 8 bolts, and each bolt takes washer. And so we have the kids put washers on the bolts, put the bolts in baggies by 8, so that when we go to deliver a bed, all we do is grab a baggie and go. So if we have young kids there, that's the task that we set those kids to. I have watched kids, this one young boy, and I don't remember who he was or where he came from, but he spent the entire, I wanted to give him my watch because he walked so much. He would take 2 pieces of wood and walk over from one place, drop it at the next place, walk back, get 2 more pieces. He said 4 hours. And you know, do you want to take a break? No, I'm doing fine. So kids are resilient. That's what we do. We take them, we use standard hand tools. We use battery operated drills, we use battery operated sanders. We have some powered corded sanders as well. Impact drivers. And basically, anybody who can stand up, and even if you sit down, we can probably find a station for you, can help build a bed. So, no experience is required. We can teach you anything you need to know. We do ask for a signed indemnification from everyone who's going to be participating. And in the case of the kids, the parents have to sign the form for them. But we can do it in scalable size groups. Now, we have had as many as 75 or 80 people there at one time building beds, and we've done it with as few as 12, 15. When your kids come, and I talked to whoever was arranging this, it was a gentleman, I don't remember his name.
Was it Chris?
Could have been. I used to be a youth pastor. I used to hang around kids a lot. And I know that having kids do the same thing for 4 hours is a recipe for disaster. I also know that their attention span is a little shorter, and so we have to watch them and be careful with them and make sure that the tasks are appropriate to them. So rest assured that when they come, we will be making sure that they don't get hurt. The only person I've ever seen get hurt at one of these was at our very first build, and it was my cousin, who is an adult, who works in a machine shop, who should have known better. And it's a team building exercise. It helps build communities. When people come in and work together on a project like this, they become friends. Some of the people that are in my group here, our core team, Mark and Nikolai for one, they've become my best friends. Actually, three couples are going to Charlotte in a week and a half to go to a training with SHP. And we're just looking forward to spending the weekend together. So, and it just brings the community together. When we all work towards a common goal, differences tend to meet. And so, race, age, religion, sexual orientation, it doesn't matter. We're building beds for kids. And one of the things that we have when we have internal arguments within the group, build the darn bed. That's the end result. So how can you help? Donations, you can volunteer. Anything you can do to help us would be great. On Saturday, there's a couple that is coming to deliver beds. They're delivering 6 beds. They just called up and said, we have time on Saturday to deliver beds. Can you set that up for us? Yes. You can set up beds on Saturdays. We can set them up during the week. We have big deliveries in November and December. We're going to try to deliver between those 2 dates about 150 to 160 beds. And knock down our list just a little bit, and get a lot of kids in bed for Christmas. So that's about how you can help. Thank you. If you have any questions, I'll be here for that. So, Brian?
I have a quick question.
Sure.
By the way, my cousin Mark has his own fire engine. He's a character.
And it has a SHP magnetic sticker on the side of the brakes.
The original design for the bed, has that changed over the years? Have you been able to simplify it, or? You still use the box?
Since I have been involved, so I don't know what happened between 2017 and 2012, but since I've been involved, it's been the same design. It's a design that's very easily duplicated. We have jigs and forms and things like that that allow everybody to build the same thing. And the company is very adamant about it. It is insured. Is it insured? How do we say this? The Consumer Product Safety Commission has okayed it. Okay, so it is a safe bed.
The one change that was made last year, the slats that go and hold the mattresses, they submitted it for ISO certification. Our beds will never be certified by ISO because they're made by volunteers, so there's no perfect consistency. But one of the things they found is we now staple strapping.
The cloth strapping,
to the bottom of the slats or the top of the slats.
They don't slide over.
And that way they won't twist and move around as much. And that added 50 pounds to the weight classification. And so that's the only change that's been made since we've been doing this.
What's your biggest limiting factor? So you said that there's this pretty significant waiting list. Is it construction or is it?
150 beds. If you want to come and help deliver them tomorrow, I'll be there.
So that's the limiting factor?
Our limiting factor is getting people to volunteer to deliver. It's funny, people will come and build beds, but to get them to deliver seems to be our biggest holding point right now.
We had 100 soldiers from the Army National Guard come and deliver beds for us one day. They delivered 101 beds. That cleared our list down to 60, and within 2 weeks,
2 weeks, we're back up again.
We're back up over 120. So, and now you can see where our list is now. So the need is there. It hasn't really dwindled. And again, we're just east of the interstate. West of the interstate, we'd love to expand, and one of the big factors there is deliveries. We can build beds. We can have a build every month if we can if we can staff it, which doesn't seem to be a problem, but getting the beds delivered has always been the problem. And west of the interstate, a partner that would have warehousing space to where we could stock it and hand off a list of addresses, and when they've exhausted that list, give them another stack. I mean, that would go a long way in expanding our coverage area.
At the risk of overusing the word bed, how large a bed would you need, like in a truck or a vehicle, to be able to deliver one of these beds?
The biggest piece we have is a 6-foot piece, so that's the longest we have.
Side rail?
That's a side rail, right. However, if you don't mind, a 5-foot bed will hold a 6-foot piece of wood if you just tilt it up.
Yep.
And so, you know, we've had short bed pickups, we've had people come with trailers, we have box trucks, we had a school bus.
We delivered the school.
So somebody brought a school bus in, and we filled the school bus up with parts, and they took that out and delivered it. So whatever you have that will hold the bed. When I started this program, I had a Pontiac Chrysler 300, and I found that if I put the back seat down and the front seat down, I could stick a 10-foot piece of wood in the car, so I could haul my raw materials in there. I also found out I could fit one complete bunk, so 2 beds, the bedding and all that stuff, but I had to have the sunroof open so I could drop the mattresses in from on top.
You need to have a picture of that next time in your presentation.
Thankfully, some lady decided to drive late at night, fell asleep at the wheel, and hit my car while it was parked in front of my house. She was fine, my car was totaled, I have a truck now.
Okay, there you go. Worked.
Do you have any high school chapters? Like, are there? No. Okay.
We have had groups from DECA, National Honor Society, National Junior Honor Society.
We work with them, but to have a chapter that is specifically from a high school, I don't. You have to have an adult leader, so you have to have somebody who's responsible. Mm-hmm. And if a teacher wanted to do that, AJ. One of our big volunteers is a teacher, shop teacher at Tremper. And so we keep trying to get his kids involved.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, this was exciting. Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll see with Charlotte on Wednesday.
So the final, I believe it's our final agenda item. So this ties into our, another one of the strategic plan goals too. And so the civic service group, some of the things that are planning up in the immediate future, we have the Sleep in Heavenly Peace, October 14th. We'll be doing the bed building workshop. I'll be honest, long-term goal is to figure out delivery options for children in need in our area. So I love that I would love to find a partnership, some type of way to do that in this district. But first, if we can get people out there building beds and seeing that experience. Then we're doing cereal dominoes for our classrooms. I believe Nicole talked about this, but Student Senate, once we have all of the boxes donated, they're going to create a course, and we will have the course on video, I believe, on November 3rd, and all the students will be able to watch it. Then we are currently working to have holiday cards for the veterans for Thanksgiving and a variety of Veterans Day and Thanksgiving and other holidays. And they'll be delivered to the veterans at their Veterans Center. And then finally, we have the grocery bag holiday donations where our students can decorate the grocery bags, and the sharing centers, they say that the families, when they come to get their groceries during that time, they love the decorated bags. And then we have 2 others that are still being worked out, the Matthias Center and one other one I can't think of off the top of my head, but there's a number of things that Christy, Nicole, Paul, Nicole Haas, Chris, who work there, that we're trying to make sure that we're giving our students an opportunity to exercise those empathy muscles, those responsibility muscles. So we're developing the whole child into a better human. Any questions about those?
It's great, exciting stuff.
Yeah. All right. We already talked about the policy and committee minutes. it for the reports.
All right. Can I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
Go ahead, Steve.
I move to adjourn our meeting at 8 p.m. Central Daylight Time.
All right. So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Those opposed? Motion carries. Meeting adjourned.